सभी को नमस्ते and we'll continue with yesterday's discussion, that is the culmination of the last fruit of recluseship. So today day 11, 16th fruit of recluseship, that's the destruction of cankers, ending of defilements. There is no other fruit excellent or more sublime than this. तो कल की जो recap करते हैं, just quick recap, like whatever we discussed yesterday, and I was just reflecting on it. Basically, the insight and liberation. The insight knowledge is the nature of existence, such as the anicca, dukkha, and anatma, which is very crucial for all of us as practitioners. However, if this insight alone will not lead to liberation, realization must be accompanied by the actual breaking of the fetters that bind us in this samsara. So, for that, the supramundane path, which start the journey starts with the path towards liberation, begins with the realization of a stream enterer. This is very significant as a step away from the mundane existence. While Shrutapati still experiences the effects of samsara and the cycle of rebirth, but at least there is an assurance कि सिर्फ 7 जन्म ही है. So ongoing, it has to be taken in a positive way. The way I understand, it's to acknowledge that despite all the progress what we make, we may continue to face challenges depending upon our karma and residual karma and everything experiences, which keeps us tied to this samsara. But one of the way is like, we are walking on this path and purifying the mind and fully breaking the fetters that bind them. Basically, this liberation is also a gradual process which has different stages, to stream enterer, to once returner, non-returner, arahant. So इसके एक अलग milestones है. So we need to keep working on it to overcome the taints and fetters, ताकि each stage brings us closer to full liberation. So even if one is still within this samsara, progress is being made. So दुख को समझना और उससे बाहर निकलने के लिए one has to just keep moving it. So that is what I just wanted to say, so that we come out of all the break this cycle of birth and rebirth, moving forward. एक्सप्लोरिंग द अल्टीमेट रियलाइजेशन. जैसे कल हमने चर्चा की थी कि टेंट को हम कैसे समझे. ट्रेडिशनली इट मीन्स देर आर 3 टाइप्स, विच इज द काम आसव, अटैचमेंट टू सेंसरी एक्सपीरियंसेस; भव आसव, craving for existence, and like we have also seen in Brahmajal Sutta कि मैं हूँ, there is a permanent self, so on and so forth. And avidya asaf, lack of understanding of the 4 noble truths or not understanding the karma principle. तो हमने इसी सूत्र में भी we understood by way of the 6 teachers, where they spoke about even if you kill someone, there is no bad karma, and there is no self, like all this earth element will go and mix with the earth element, so on and so forth. Through different teachers we understood their doctrine. So this is basically ignorance. So as long as these taints are there, we will be coming back in the samsara of birth and rebirth. Even a sagadagami or anagami still carry the taints. Only an arahant is free from all the taints. तो ये सूत्र में describes how following the path can lead to the complete eradication. तो ये शुरू करने से पहले I'll just start with a verse in Dhammapad, जो 253 का वर्स है. उज्जान सन्नि तेरा वत्तु, he who seeks others' fault, who is ever censorious, his cankers grow. He is far from the destruction of the cankers. परवज्जानु परिसस्स नित्यं उज्जान सन्निनो आसवा तस्य वर्धन्ति आरासो आसवक्षय. तो हम इसको समझने से पहले I will just run through this sub-asav sutta, where the Lord says there are 7 ways of abandoning or removing the defilements. What are the 7 ways? So see, the Lord explains about removing this is the all the unwholesome qualities जो हमारे चित्त में है, उसको एक एक करके हटाना है 7 तरीके से. तो उसके लिए क्या है, इट्स योनिसो मनसिकारा, वन नीड टू हैव अ वाइस रिफ्लेक्शन, मीन्स completely destroy the roots. Yoni means like womb. So one has to pay attention to how things arise or reflect on it. So yes, first one is by seeing. So seeing में क्या होता है, like there is no permanent self. उसे समझना through Yoniso Manasikara and understand that these phenomena keeps changing and understanding it through four noble truths. That is the key thing here. Done by restraining इंद्रिय संवर. तो सुनील जी ने हमें समझाया था how one can restrain the senses through sight, sound, taste, touch. Like basically, one need to prevent the arising of unwholesome states of mind. How do we do this? We control it. And whatever impinges, like, you start controlling it. Maybe like watching on YouTube or OTT platform, we learn to control the or minimize the distractions. थर्ड इज दी पति सेवना, ये भी हमने सती संपजन्य में डिस्कस की थी. यूजिंग द requisites, four requisites. It's not only for a monk and nun, even we as practitioners, how do we use it? Reflecting on it, this ropes is used to protect our body from heat and cold, and the arms bowl is to collect food, and it is and basically the food is only for nutriment, and the shelter is to keep away from the patan say mosquitoes and temperature and cold, and same for medicine, only as a requirement and benefit of for good health whenever there is a need. The same way even a practitioner can reflect on our relationship with this, like to give up on acquisitiveness, कि हम जो चीजों को इकट्ठा करते ही जाते हैं, not to hoard things. The best way is the example during COVID time, or reflect on it. Do we go overboard with clothes or shopping, so on, or even eating food? So the fourth one is the by enduring. That's Kanti Paramam Tapotitika. Like, basically, how do we endure whenever we come across any kind of difficult sensations, or we go through a lot of disease in our body, या किसी ने कुछ गलत शब्द बोल दिए, या ill will or sarcastic comments, we actually we do it with right intention, कि हमारा ये attitude क्या है उसके तरफ, seeing this unpleasantness, or see it with a good right intention through wise reflection, so how we can reduce our irritations towards them. Then the fifth one is avoiding, actively avoiding situations or environment which continuously triggers us. These unwholesome thoughts can be put aside so that we can reduce the likelihood of not falling into any kind of negative patterns. Maybe like, going for a social obligations, or overboard with parties and drinking, whatever it is. The sixth is, all this is like we are trying to tolerate it or endure it or avoid it. Now the sixth one is, भगवान कहते हैं कि अगर ये नहीं होगा तो remove it. How do we remove it? Wiping out the existence with more forceful approach of the negative states. जहां पर भी हमें तकलीफ हो रहा है, there is a lot of discomfort and aversion, before we could perform any kind of a physical action, we know that the consequence is not going to be good. It is better to completely avoid this with forceful approach. Even if our mind is getting decluttered, or declutter it, or the living space, get rid of items that hold a lot of emotional attachments or memories which bring suffering to us. So it is better to get rid of all the states. And then all this is like removing the taints now, through restraint, through avoiding, so on and so forth, through wise reflection. Now finally there is something called as developing it. What do we develop? The seven factors of awakening. This is just a support system for us. The actual thing is to see it through Samadhi and Four Noble Truths. So this will support us finally developing Bhavna as the Sati, Dhamma Vichay, जो प्रज्ञा का aspect है, investigate करना, and Virya, Piti, Pasadi, and Samadhi and Upeka. So once when you develop या इसको भावित करते हैं, it becomes a support factor for us to get onto the route and go closer to the ultimate goal of liberation. So So how do we see this? We do it through Yoniso Manasikara, that is understanding the Four Noble Truths. कि ये दुख है, ये दुख का कारण क्या है, उसका निवारण क्या है और उस निवारण का मार्ग क्या है. तो भगवान यहाँ पे बताते हैं द फ्रूट ऑफ reclusive. Actual in the Samnaphala Sutta, the ultimate sense, reclusive is the path, and the fruit of reclusive is the noble fruit. Now, the person like Ajat Sattu is so ignorant. This I'm understanding in my own way. It is not mentioned anyway in the sutta like that. कि अगर शुरू में ही भगवान ने बोल दिया कि कर्म को समझो या ये path hai, and this is the fruit, Shrotapati, and so on. I don't think so. He would have been able to understand it. Now that when Lord has given this graduated path, it exactly means what because is reclusive. It is this noble eightfold path which starts from the right view, right up to right concentration. And what are the fruits of reclusive? That's the stream entry, once returner, non-returner, and of arahantship. The highest realization within reclusive is the complete destruction of all the defilements, and there is no fruit higher or better than this realization. By because this is the ultimate to it completely, you don't come into the existence of again and again. It eradicates all the fetters. So ये जो fetters भी है, 5 of them take us to the lower and the 5 takes up to the upper. आप सभी लोग जानते ही हैं. So I'll just leave it on the screen for 30 seconds or 10 seconds so that I'll move on to the next one. So now, how do we end the defilements? When their mind has become immersed in samadhi like this, purified, bright, flawless, rid of corruptions, pliable, workable, steady, imperturbable, they project it and extend it toward knowledge of the ending of defilement. जैसे कल भी था, इसके पहले 6 अभिनय में भी same standard format, basically purifying your mind through concentration and 4 jhanas used as a basis for insight, which is characterized by calmness and equanimity. So, यहाँ पे further it is saying that insight can be classified into 2 types, like Chintanmaya and Shrutamaya. For us, we as disciple, we listen, hear the Dhamma, contemplate, practice, and actually investigate it. Whereas in case of Bodhisattva or Pacceka Buddha, they actually, the knowledge arises from deep reflection, Chintanmaya Panya. So evam samahite chitte parisuddhe pariyodate anangane vigatu pakilese mudubhute kammaniya thite ananjapatte asavan no no asavane khayñānaya chittang abhiniharati abhininameti. So, what is it? How understanding the Four Noble Truths. They truly understand this is suffering. This is the origin of suffering. This is the cessation of suffering. This is the practice that leads to the cessation of suffering. They truly understand these are defilements. This is the origin of defilements. This is the cessation of defilements. This is the practice that leads to the cessation of defilements. So idang dukkhanti yata bhutan pajanati. Ayang dukkha samudayoti yata bhutan pajanati. Ayang dukkha nirodhoti yata bhutan pajanati. Ayang dukkha nirodhagamini patipadati yata bhutan pajanati. Ime asavakti yata bhutan pajanati. Ayang asava samudayoti yata bhutan pajanati. Ayang asava nirodhoti yata bhutan pajanati. Ayang asava nirodhagamini patipadati yata bhutan pajanati. Basically, the Four Noble Truths. Understand that there is suffering. कि जन्म भी दुख है, मृत्यु भी दुख है, यम पिच्छम ना लभति तमपि दुखम, संकितेन पंच उपादान खंदा दुखा. क्लिंगिंग टू द 5 खंडास इज दुख. खंड अपने आप में दुख नहीं है. When you cling to it, then it gives lot of suffering. Second noble truth, it says tanaha. This is the main thing. The desire for yayam tanaha pono bhavika, nandi raga sahagata, tatra tatravi nandini, kama tanha, bhav tanha, and vibhav tanha. So the basic crucial thing is the tanha, which Trishna, where we want something or we don't want something. We take pleasure, delight here and there. So we come into the existence of repeated birth, ponobhavika, kabhi yahan, kabhi wahan. So the main reason is this tanha which arises. That is the reason of suffering. We actually know how we get attached to the form and khandas. So I'll move on to the next one. Then what is the third noble truth? When a meditator is reflecting, so tasya taveva asesa viraga nirodho, non-arising. This is what it is talking about here. Completely distracting all the defilement so that it does not arise at all. So one can also contemplate in four ways of understanding the dukh, pariyati, patipati, and pativedan. We are practicing it. In some sense, there is no self. In other conditions, depending upon case to case, ऐसा नहीं है कि हम हमेशा ही we have the sense of self. बहुत सारी चीजें हमारे हाथ से छूट भी गई है. But here what it is talking about is, as we keep on practicing, we should come out of all the conditioned things. So that is how it leads to the liberation, which is non-conditioned. So first noble truth, understand the dukh. जानना चाहिए पटिपति, which is the practice. Pativedan has been understood और जान लिया गया है. Second noble truth, understanding the origin of dukh, कि कहाँ से शुरू हुआ है, what is the reason, और उसको पहान करना है, and it has been abandoned. Third is the cessation of dukh, नॉन अराइजिंग. बेसिकली जब रियलाइज कर लिया है, उसको साक्षात्कार कर लिया है, तो आगे दुख उत्पन्न नहीं होगा, हैज बीन रियलाइज. देन देयर इज द ट्रूथ ऑफ द वे लीडिंग टू द सेसेशन ऑफ दुख. दैट इज दी भावित करना चाहिए. सो वी बीन प्रैक्टिसिंग इट फ्रॉम पास्ट 10-12 days. द 8-fold नोबल पाथ जिसे हमने कल्टिवेट किया, भावित किया. नाउ वी आर मूविंग फॉरवर्ड टू एंड द सफरिंग्स कंप्लीटली has been developed. Bhavit kar liya gaya hai, the ultimate end of all the sufferings. This is what it talks about it. And so once when you practice it this way, then the meditator understands, knowing and seeing like this, their mind is freed from the defilement of sensuality, Kam Tanha, desire to be reborn, Bhav Tanha, and ignorance. Because now that you have understood the uh, uh, four noble truths, you really understand what it is. Every time you're coming back into this realm, because attachment is creating suffering or tanha. So when you understand it, you're freed from it. When they are freed, they know they are free. They understand rebirth is ended. The spiritual journey has been completed. What had to be done has been done. There is nothing further for this place. Tasya evang janato evang passato कामस्वापि चित्तं विमुच्यति भवस्वापि चित्तं विमुच्यति अविद्यासावपि चित्तं विमुच्यति विमुक्तस्मिन् विमुक्त इति ज्ञानं होति हीना जाति उसितं ब्रह्मचर्यं कथं करणीयं नापरं इत्थाय हि पजानाति. What does it mean as per the commentary? It says what birth of is destroyed, and how does one understand this? It is not to do with the past birth. Jo ho gaya so ho gaya, that is already destroyed. It is nothing to do with the future also, because we don't know what the future is. This is the present, and the present is actually existing right now. But the birth, if you completely destroy it, the birth which would have arisen if we have not developed the path, then which has been fully developed. So now there is no more rebirth. This is what it means. So completely destroyed the rebirth. Even though when you have destroyed the rebirth, there might be a lot of what you call impingements which will come. You will the defilements, there is no defilements in your mind, because you have completely eradicated all the defilements. So the actions, it does not, whatever is your action will be the wise reflection. It will not bring about any relinking or rebirth in the near future or in the future. So that's why it says destroyed is the birth. So Lord is giving a simile here, analogy of lake. Great king, suppose in a mountain glen, there were a lake with clear water, limpid and unsullied, a man with keen sight, standing on the bank, would see oyster shells, sand and pebbles, and shoals of fish moving about and keeping still, he would think to himself, this is a lake with clear water, limpid and unsullied, and there within it are oyster shells, sand and pebbles, and shoals of fish moving about and keeping still, non reactive, the way I understand. In the same way, great king, when his mind is thus concentrated, pure and bright, the bhikkhu directs and inclines it to the knowledge of the destruction of the cankers. He understands as it really is. This is suffering. He understands destroyed his birth. The holy life has been lived. What had to be done has been done. There is nothing further beyond this. तो ये जो lake is our mind analogy which is given. The clear water represents the pure and concentrated mind, which is free from all the defilements and distractions. पानी के नीचे, तालाब के नीचे जो है, one can see with bright mind or clear mind the beneath the surface. What are the things which is there beneath the surface? Is the shells, sand, pebbles. These are all the mental states or the chetasiks, which is the all the impurities, which does not cloud the mind, because the practitioner is not getting attached to it. There is no craving. तो उसको एक साक्षी भाव से चीज जैसा है, like I mean, just step back from the things and don't get entangled with it and see it objectively. So when you see it like this, then you don't get attached to it. So in short, the man with keen sight represents the practitioner who has developed an insight through understanding and meditation and practice instead of being caught up in the experiences of the mind. Do not get entangled with it. Distance yourself and understand that this is suffering, this is the origin, cessation, and the path leading to the suffering. So this too, great king, is a fruit of the ascetic life that's apparent in the present life, which is better and finer than the former ones. And great king, there is no other fruit of the ascetic life apparent in the present life, which is better and finer than this. Idanko Maharaj, I think I'll skip the Pali one, I can't. So this is the end of the destruction of cankers, and there is no better fruit than this. What does it mean? Before I get into the last learning, so then the king was very much inspired because he was stricken by guilt and he was unable to sleep. जैसे हमने first day पे समझा था कि that sleep become repugnant for the king because he killed his father, and he didn't have the courage to approach the Lord. So he was looking for solutions or answers. So he went on speaking, meeting all the 6 ascetic teachers. He was very much dissatisfied. Finally, when he met the Lord, and Lord, like because the king is does not have any knowledge about the Dhamma, or neither he had heard about it, very compassionately he comes down to his level, is how I understand, and explains the first 2 visible fruits. When the king got inspired, and then the Lord gives the entire teaching of the graduated path, saying that this is how I had practiced it, this is how my disciples practice, and if you follow this way as the graduated path, like it is good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end. What is it? Like we learned as ki शील समाधि और पन्या की बात हो रही है. So the king was very much inspired. Then he bows down to the Lord, and then he confesses, saying that I made a very big mistake. I took the life of my father, a righteous man and a righteous king. So like he's making a confession कि मैंने realize तो किया, so that I don't make this mistake again in the future. So what does the Lord say? The Lord says कि yes, you have made a mistake. He is not saying कि ठीक है जो हो गया सो हो गया. He is not saying that. He's very, yes, you have made a mistake, but since you have realized it, we accept you as a disciple. And then the king leaves from there. And then the Lord addresses the bhikkhu, saying that if the king had not taken the life of his father, he had all the possibility of becoming a stream enterer. Because he killed it, and it says that he had to go to hell. And as per the commentary, it means that, he will be there for many years later, then he will become a Pacheka Buddha. So, with this, what is the learning? Learning 16th and the ultimate fruit of recluseship is Nibbana, complete freedom from samsara. Now, uh, the Lord gave this teaching, seeing the state of mind of Ajat Sattu. Okay, by giving different examples with striking similes and everything. Follow this path. If you follow this path at each step, there is a fruit. And ultimate fruit is the Nibbana. Rest all is conditioned. Only Nibbana is the unconditioned. So, I think even for us also, it's a very great learning, and we can also reflect and strengthen the path. So sooner or later, we can also reach this level of Nibbana, and whatever is our suffering which we encounter. So let's come out of it. And thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, sir, for